Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. I set her mug down like always. Left side of the napkin, 1 spoon of sugar, just a hint of cinnamon on top, because she used to say it tastes like a hug. And as I stood there waiting for, I don't even know, maybe a thank you, maybe a smile. She didn't even flinch. She just scrolled. Blank face. The coffee sat untouched. I blinked. It's getting cold. She tilted her phone, probably reading some chat, then mumbled, I'm not in the mood for coffee. I nodded. Of course. Not in the mood. That's been the anthem of our home for the last 3 weeks. No one cheated. No one fought. Nothing exploded. That would have been easier. At least screaming means someone still cares. But this was quiet warfare. Slow. Calculated. It's like she was deleting me one ignored moment at a time. She used to scribble little notes on sticky pads. Stuff like, I miss your dumb jokes. Now, the only thing she writes is her lunch order. Every day I wait for eye contact, for a question, a laugh, a complaint, anything. Instead, she moves around the apartment like I'm background noise. A fan she forgot to turn off. A sock she stepped over and chose not to pick up. Last Wednesday, I left a sandwich on the counter for her. Turkey, mayo, no tomato, the way she likes it. I even wrapped it like she used to do for me before meetings. That sandwich sat there for 5 hours. I came back and the bread was dry. She had ordered sushi. Yesterday, she took a call and left the room. I heard her giggle. Giggle. A sound I thought had been extinct in our home. I walked in without thinking, and she ended the call immediately. I asked, was that someone from work? She shrugged. Yeah, kind of. Kind of? Couldn't sleep that night. I kept picturing her laugh. That particular softness in it. She doesn't even clear her throat when she talks to me. But for whoever was on the other side of that call, she giggled. This morning I tried again. I said, want me to walk with you to the train? She blinked at me like I'd asked her to recite poetry in German. It's 5 blocks, Delaware. I'm fine. Then she left. Without the coffee. Without a goodbye. Without even closing the door fully. I stared at it, that half-open door, for almost 10 minutes. As if part of me hoped she'd come back, say she forgot something. Maybe me. She didn't. So I poured her cold coffee down the drain, stood in the hallway, and whispered something to myself I'd never said out loud before. This house doesn't have a wife in it anymore. And then, I did something I hadn't done in over a decade. I opened the closet and reached for my old duffel bag. That afternoon, the sky cracked open like it was mourning something, and rain poured down like it had been holding back for years, just like me. I sat by the window with my half-cold tea and the sound of the city smearing itself across the glass. Laurel hadn't texted all day. Not a heading home. Not a need anything. Just silence, her new favorite language. At 6:42 p.m., I heard the door click open. I didn't move. Her heels echoed down the hall. She wasn't rushing. No apology. No explanation. Just her. She passed me with a breeze of perfume and wet hair, tossed her soaked umbrella near the shoe rack, and said, You didn't start dinner? Not a question, more like judgment wrapped in surprise. I blinked. You didn't say you'd be home for dinner. She shrugged off her coat, her expression unreadable. It's Thursday. I'm always home Thursdays. That was a lie. The past 3 Thursdays, she hadn't been home before 10. I remember because I had sat with a plate of reheated pasta each time, pretending not to check the time every 6 minutes. She disappeared into the bedroom. I followed. I didn't want to argue. I just wanted clarity. Did you get caught in the rain? I asked. She turned her back to me. A little. I pointed to the umbrella. It's drenched. So's your hair. She glanced at me through the mirror. I walked 2 blocks. It's not that deep, Delaware. But here's the thing. The firm is only 1 block away. And I noticed something else. Her shoes weren't muddy. Not like they should have been. Her heels were clean. Shiny. As if she'd been somewhere else. Somewhere inside. I didn't say a word. But something inside me folded, like paper soaked in water. Soft. Useless. Done. That night she said she was tired. Skipped dinner. Locked the bathroom door. She never used to do that. I heard music playing faintly inside. Not the usual playlists. Something slower. Romantic. And that's when the real fear crawled in. I wasn't just being ignored. I was being replaced quietly, carefully, and without permission. I stared at the ceiling again, searching for those cracks I used to count. They were still there, only this time I realized they weren't in the plaster. They were in me. The next morning, I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened her coat pocket while she was in the shower. I didn't plan it. I was just reaching to hang it properly. Something she used to nag me about. But my hand brushed against paper. Not crumpled, not accidental, folded neatly. A receipt. I pulled it out. Vincent's Trattoria, 9:07 p.m. Table for two, wine pairing for two. My heart made a strange noise, like it didn't know how to beat anymore. I stared at the timestamp like it was printed in fire. Last night, Thursday. The same Thursday she claimed she walked 2 blocks in the rain. The same night she said, "It's Thursday. I'm always home Thursdays." I sat on the bed, holding that slip of truth like it was a grenade. She came out moments later, towel in her hair, humming, yes, humming, as if nothing had detonated in the next room. I slid the receipt into my hoodie pocket before she saw it. I didn't ask. I didn't accuse. I didn't cry. I just nodded when she said, "I'll be working late again tonight." I wanted to ask who he was. Was it someone from her office? Was it someone new? Someone who made her laugh like that again? But I didn't. I folded instead, the same way she'd been folding away from me. That evening, she left an address I didn't recognize and heels she hadn't worn since our 5th anniversary. I stared at the door long after it closed, as if I could freeze her silhouette in my memory just one more time. I didn't follow her. I didn't track her phone. I sat at the table and stared at 2 plates I'd set out of habit. One with chicken. One untouched. Her wine glass still had lipstick from last week. I never washed it. I wanted to believe it meant something. Later that night, I walked past our bathroom and caught a glimpse of something she forgot to hide. Her phone buzzed on the counter. The screen lit up. I didn't touch it. I didn't need to. "Can't wait to see you again. Last night was perfect." That text didn't have my name on it, but it had everything else, the truth, the knife, the silence that finally made sense. I stood in the hallway for a long time, wondering how many nights I'd slept alone with someone still in the bed beside me. And for the first time, I didn't cry. I started packing. I didn't plan to leave on a Tuesday, but that's the thing with moments like these. They don't wait for symbolic days. They just arrive raw and unannounced. That morning, she left before I even woke up. Or maybe I was pretending to sleep. It didn't matter anymore. I lay there listening to the click of her heels and the slam of the front door that echoed more like a period than a goodbye. I sat up, stared at the dent in the pillow where her head used to be. Then I got up, opened the closet, and pulled out the old gray duffel I hadn't touched since our trip to Asheville. Back when we used to laugh about wrong turns and share fries like teenagers. The zipper stuck at first, like even it didn't want me to go through with this. I packed slowly. 3 shirts. 2 pairs of jeans. My passport, even though I had nowhere to go. I paused at the drawer where I kept all the anniversary cards she used to write. The ones filled with always and forever. And those inside jokes that feel like burns now. I didn't throw them away. I didn't take them. I just left the drawer open. Let her see how many promises she broke. I didn't leave a letter. No poetic lines. No dramatic quotes. Just the receipt from Vincent's, folded once. Placed on her pillow like a pressed flower from a life that wilted quietly. By the time I stepped into the hallway with my bag, I realized something strange. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even sad. I was empty in a way that felt clean. Like something had been drained from me for so long. There was finally room to breathe again. I didn't slam the door. I didn't even close it hard. I let it shut like a whisper, the final sound of me in that house. I took the bus to nowhere in particular. Just rode through the city like a ghost with a wallet. I didn't check my phone. Didn't wonder if she noticed. I already knew she wouldn't. But at 2:17 p.m., something unexpected happened. My phone buzzed. A text. "Where are you?" I stared at the screen. Not a heart. Not a panic. Just 3 words that felt hollow, like they were typed out of routine. I didn't reply. Not yet. Because for the first time in forever, she was the one sitting in silence. By the second day, the calls started. I didn't answer. Not because I wanted revenge. I just didn't know what to say. What do you say to someone who's been treating you like furniture for months, only to panic once the couch goes missing? The first call lasted 5 seconds. No voicemail. The second came at 10:14 p.m. She left one that time. I listened to it in the dark, sitting in the cheapest motel room I could find, my back against the wall like some cliché runaway. Her voice was calm at first. Hey, just wondering where you are. Can you call me? She paused, then added, this isn't like you. She was right. It wasn't. Because the old me would have come crawling back by now, apologizing for reacting to her neglect like it was my fault. The old me would have begged for a conversation, a crumb of closeness. But that man had slowly starved to death in our kitchen, under our roof, in our silence. And now I was someone else. Not stronger. Just too tired to keep asking for what should have been mine freely. On day 3, she sent a message that didn't feel like her. If you're trying to make a point, you've made it. Come home. I reread it 5 times. The first half sounded like guilt. The second half, like a command. Come home. As if she still believed I was orbiting her life, like some dependable moon always returning. I didn't reply. Instead, I checked into a co-working space down the block and started rewriting my resume. It was strange how fast reality shifts when you decide to stop surviving and start existing again. I hadn't updated my resume in 7 years. Laurel used to joke that I'd retire before I'd ever leave my job. But now everything felt temporary, even the life I had with her. That evening, I walked past a bookstore and saw a copy of a poetry collection I once gave her. She told me back then that it made her feel seen. I almost laughed out loud, because lately all she ever wanted was to disappear from me. Emotionally, physically, digitally. And now, she wanted me back just because she noticed I was gone? At 11:03 p.m., she sent one more message. Del, please just come home. I don't know what's going on anymore. And that was the first time in months she said my name with softness. But soft isn't the same as honest. And now I was done mistaking the two. I wasn't prepared to see her standing in the lobby of the co-working space. Hair pulled back in a tight knot, dark circles under her eyes, clutching her phone like it was a lifeline. I don't even know how she found me. Maybe a credit card alert, maybe just desperation and a bit of luck. But there she was. The woman who hadn't looked up at me for weeks was now scanning the room like she was trying to breathe underwater. I didn't move. I stood half-hidden behind a row of half-walls. Frozen. Not in fear, in disbelief. She looked smaller than I remembered. Tired. Unpolished. Real. The receptionist asked if she needed help. I'm looking for someone, Laurel said. Delbert. My husband. It sounded foreign, coming out of her mouth. Husband. She hadn't used that word in weeks, maybe months. The receptionist looked around, and I stepped forward before it got awkward. Her eyes locked on mine, and something flickered in her. Something I hadn't seen since before the silence. Not anger, not guilt, not even affection. It was panic. I didn't know where else to go, she said softly, her voice cracking like old vinyl. You didn't answer. I thought. She stopped. I waited. She didn't finish the sentence. And that, somehow, was worse than anything she could have said. I nodded toward the sidewalk. Let's not do this here. We walked silently to a coffee shop 2 blocks away. She didn't ask how I'd been. She didn't ask where I'd slept. She just launched into her own unraveling. It wasn't supposed to happen, she said, stirring her untouched tea. It was just someone noticing me again. That's all it was. I didn't feel seen anymore, and Evan, my stomach sank at the name. So it was him, the visionary from her office. I didn't interrupt. I let her talk. She confessed to dinners, to staying late, to laughing too much at his jokes. But she swore nothing physical ever happened. I stopped it, before it went too far. I swear, Delaware. Her eyes begged me to believe her. But here's the thing. Betrayal doesn't start with a kiss. It starts with attention. The kind you withhold from one person and start handing to another. I didn't respond right away. I just asked her one thing. Why now? Why are you only here now? She looked at me with wet eyes and whispered, because I didn't think you'd actually leave. And just like that, I realized the most painful part wasn't that she hurt me. It was that she never thought I had the strength to walk away. The silence between us after she said, I didn't think you'd actually leave, wasn't cinematic. It wasn't tragic. It was just flat, like the end of a long song with no chorus. I stared at her across the chipped cafe table, and something inside me finally caved in. But not the kind of cave-in where you fall apart. It was the kind where you realize you've already been broken for so long, there's nothing left to shatter. Do you know what it felt like? I began. To watch you laugh at your phone while I sat 6 feet away trying to figure out if I still existed in your world? Her lips parted, but I held up my hand. I wasn't finished. You stopped touching me. You stopped talking to me. You didn't even argue. You just erased me slowly, like I was a smudge you were tired of wiping. Her eyes filled, but no tears fell. That somehow made it worse. You left the receipt in your coat pocket, I said, voice low. Vincent's. 2 entrees, a wine pairing, a lie in cursive ink. She swallowed hard. I didn't sleep with him, Delaware. I nodded. You didn't have to. You gave him everything that used to be mine. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want groveling. I wanted something more terrifying. Honesty. You could have told me you were unhappy. You could have said it out loud instead of whispering it through distance and cold dinners and fake goodnights. She finally broke. A single tear slid down her cheek. I thought if I ignored it long enough it would fix itself, she said. I didn't know how to be with you anymore without feeling like I'd already failed you. That hit me sideways. Because as much as I wanted to scream at her for what she did, I knew I wasn't faultless. I had gone quiet too. I had pulled away in my own pathetic way, retreating into silence, hoping she'd notice, when I should have said, I'm drowning here. But none of that excused what she chose to do. I'm not coming back, I said softly. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I need to find the version of me that didn't need to beg for love. She reached across the table, her fingers brushing mine. Can we fix this? I pulled my hand away gently. You can't fix something if the other person had to disappear just to be heard. We didn't say goodbye that day, not in the traditional sense. No tears on the pavement. No dramatic hug. Just a long, quiet look before we parted ways outside that cafe. She walked one way. I walked the other. For once, the silence between us felt mutual. Intentional. I spent the next few weeks in a rented room above a bookstore, sleeping on a mattress that dipped in the middle, surrounded by the smell of paper and dust and unfamiliar freedom. I started cooking for myself again. Small things at first. Toast, scrambled eggs, then full meals I hadn't made in years. I went on walks without checking my phone. I started writing again. Pages, whole paragraphs, things I didn't plan to show anyone. But that reminded me I still had a voice. And little by little, I started to feel like a person again. Not a shadow. Not background noise. Laurel didn't bombard me with calls. She sent 2 more texts, quiet ones. One said, I'm working on myself. The second said, no pressure. Just, I still believe in you. And that second message, it didn't pull me back. But it stopped the bleeding. Because she wasn't trying to win me. She was finally listening. I visited my sister a few states over and spent time with her kids, the ones I always said I was too busy to see. One night, her 8-year-old daughter fell asleep on my chest, and I realized something. This life is full of small, honest moments that don't require grand gestures. Just presence, warmth, choice. Took me 2 months to even consider speaking to Laurel again. And when I did, it wasn't about the past. It wasn't about blame. It was just 2 people talking over tea. No labels. No expectations. For once, we were real. Raw. Human. Maybe we'll find our way back to each other. Maybe we won't. But what matters is this: I found myself first. And no matter what happens next, I know I'll never let myself fade away again. Thanks for watching. If you've ever experienced a moment when walking away helped you finally feel alive again, share it in the comments. What was your turning point? What made you say, enough? And don't forget, you're on Reddit Confessions, where stories don't just end. They grow into something new. See you in the next one.